Greetings, 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 Professor Griff. And of course, y'all already know this is On the Masters right here on Black Power Media Reloaded. We're going to dive into this subject like right away. Today's subject, we're going to be talking about soundtrack to a coup d'etat. Soundtrack to a coup d'etat. Going to be talking about some things, and hopefully you will join us to have that discussion today as we dive into this very deep, I could say, discussion about a bit of history that a lot of us just kind of like we're not privy to. And it's recent. It's history. Someone had the beautiful wherewithal to put it in a documentary film that I believe came out last year in 2024. But in the meantime, between time, as we do a check-in, I need you to get and go and look up soundtrack to a coup d'etat. All right, as we do a check-in. All right. Let's see who's in the building as we get this thing kicked off. Houston, boy, what's up, man? Okay. Randall Anderson, what's good? Peace, fam. Papa Robbie, pardon me, says the movie is excellent. Yes, indeed. The movie is excellent. The movie is excellent. So when we're talking about the idea of a coup d'etat, let's get an understanding as we continue to do the check-in. Let's get an understanding of exactly what is a coup. So a lot of times, when we begin to dive into some of these subjects, a lot of this terminology may stem from a different culture as far as the language is concerned and that kind of thing. So as y'all know, I like to do real-time kind of research and kind of thing because I want people to get into the habit of researching. All right. So we're just going to go to any search engine and put in what is the definition of the term coup d'etat. Question mark. A coup d'etat, all right, or simply a coup, is typically an illegal and overt attempt by a military organization or other government elites to unseat an incumbent leadership. All right. A sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from a government, which is a coup. All right. The soundtrack to a coup d'etat unravels the threads of a complex story of the struggle for independence in the mid-20th century in a place called the Congo. All right. Framing it with the African American jazz musicians of the time and the global politics of the Cold War. All right. Who were those jazz musicians at the time? And what is a Cold War? We're going to tackle that when we come back from the check-in. Matthew White, what's good with you, man? How you feel, good, bro? Super Micah J, what's happening? All right. The movie makes you upset to see how we keep falling for some of the nonsense of these other people. Okay. Gerald, what's up, man? Gerald, there's a couple of events that we're doing next week, and there's a couple of events next week. Gerald, you're actually free to come on in at your leisure. I will send you the flyer, send you the link, send you the way to get in. Thanks, Gerald. Really appreciate you for being a subscriber, being part of the membership. All right. Let me see. All those individuals that I've yet to mention that are subscribers, thank y'all very much Also, I'll be mentioning your names later on in the broadcast. All right. Betty Jenkins, peace. Door of L. It's just not one individual, Door of L. You a researcher. Come on, bro. Talk to me. All right. Soundtrack to the coup d'etat. So when we start talking about the political machinations of what a coup is, we first have to know and understand what was going on at that particular time in the Congo. Who were some of those particular artists? All right. In the film Soundtrack to the Coup d'etat, features several prominent jazz musicians as a part of its narrative. All right. Including Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, Abbey Lincoln, Max Roach, Nina Simone, Mary Makeba, John Coltrane, Duke Ellington. All right. These were the prominent artists at that particular time. Why were these particular artists chosen, all right, to be a part of an ongoing program, I could say, to send jazz musicians, to send musicians from America over into and on the African continent, to be paid large sums of money, all right, and to present their artistry to the African people. At the same time, in those particular countries, African people, in some cases, in most cases, pardon me, was under colonial rule. All right. These musicians, particularly Armstrong and Simone, are highlighted for their roles as cultural ambassadors to Africa during the time of the Congo's independence and the subsequent coup, sometimes unknowingly used as part of the broader political strategies by the United States government, mainly the CIA. All right. So keep that in mind. So when we're talking about this idea of a coup, and I just read you the definition. The democratically elected leader of the Congo, Patrice Lumumba, did not come to power in a coup. I'm going to say that again in English, and I'm actually going to put in the invite in the chat. So if you'd like to add on and build on this particular conversation, by all means, come on and do so. But at that particular time, Patrice Lumumba, democratically elected by the people. All right. But what was going on in the Congo at that particular time with the Congolese people suffering under Belgian rule at that particular time? All right. And we all know the story because I've said it recently on this show. We all know what happened to Patrice Lumumba. But why were these particular artists chosen to be part of a program, a musical program, to go over into the Congo, in order to perform, especially under the conditions that Africans were in at that particular time in the Congo? These are questions that we want to answer, and these are questions that we want to get answered. All right. So we're going to go to YouTube, and we're going to put in soundtrack to the coup d'etat. All right. Soundtrack to the coup d'etat. All right. So what we could do is let's just go play the trailer so we could bring everyone up to speed on what is the soundtrack to the coup d'etat. All right. What is the soundtrack to the coup d'etat? So let's bring people up to speed in case this is your first time hearing this. And this may be your first time hearing this. All right. When you start studying those independent African countries that was colonized, and we can start with the Berlin Conference and work our way out from there. All right, so let's play the trailer for the soundtrack of the coup d'etat.
One of America's most popular emissaries arrives in the Togo Congo. On a State Department's goodwill mission, Louis Stalin's wing outraged Radio Moscow, which blasted Armstrong's visit as a diversionary tactic.
The people of the Congo are entitled to build up their country in peace and freedom.
Hold me close and hold me fast.
We were to go to Elizabethtown to attend a concert given by Louis Armstrong.
How much money do the Central Intelligence Agency has poured into the Congo?
I don't know. Are you prepared to say?
I certainly, of course, don't know. I wonder if it's quite honest to represent our policy as completely angelic.
And seated out on the terrace was a man I recognized. He said, well, you have to assassinate Lumumba.
He used those words.
Yes.
But who ordered him?
He said, President Eisenhower.
In the UN, when Khrushchev took off his shoe and was beating that shoe, and the interpreter said, "How dare you?" Talking about America. Khrushchev was saying, "I love you," but it was the interpreter who hated America. You understand what I mean?
The ditty of rhythm.
Rhythm is my business.
Конец могила колониальному рабству. Долой его и похоронить его чем глубже, тем лучше.
Soundtrack to the coup d'etat. Johan Grimmon Perez, Johan Grimmon Perez film. Pardon me. All right, I think he's out of Belgium. All right. Very, very, very interesting. I want to play that again because I want you to kind of listen to the language that they're using. All right. One more time.
One of America's most popular emissaries arrives in the troubled Congo on a State Department's goodwill mission. Louis
It's a State Department's goodwill mission into the Congo, bringing in jazz musicians: Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, Abby Lincoln, Max Roach, Nina Simone, Miriam Makeba, John Coltrane, and Duke Ellington. All right. A goodwill mission by the State Department of the United States of America.
Stalin's wing outraged Radio Moscow, which blasted Armstrong's visit as a diversionary tactic.
People of the
Russia called it a diversionary tactic. A diversion from what? We have to ask these hardcore critical questions. A diversionary tactic from what? What were they being diverted from?
The Congo are entitled to build up their country in peace and freedom.
So if the Congo is allowed to build up their country in peace and freedom, then why in 2025 are they giving Ibrahim Traore so much hell? By using the wealth and the natural resources of that's sitting under the feet of the Burkina people in Burkina Faso. Why were there almost over 20 assassination attempts on Ibrahim Traore? And why are they giving the Sahel region AES so much hell? Let's move forward.
Hold me close and hold me fast.
We were to go to Elizabethtown to attend a concert given by Louis Armstrong.
How much money do the Central Intelligence Agency has poured into the Congo?
I don't know.
Question. If it said, he asked a question, how much money of the Central Intelligence Agency is being poured into the Congo? Right? Okay. Question. Why is the CIA pouring money into the Congo? What does the Congolese people have in their government, in their land, in Africa, that the CIA needs to be there? All right.
Are you prepared to say?
I certainly, of course, don't know. I wonder if it's quite honest to represent our policy as completely angelic.
So the State Department, along with the CIA, is kind of saying their policy in reference to African countries, especially the Congo, is borderline angelic. Listen to the language.
And seated out on the terrace was a man I recognized. He said, well, you have to assassinate Lumumba.
This is Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba is the democratically elected leader of the Congo, the Congolese people. This is who they wanted. All right. Okay. What was going on in the Congo that they had to get rid of and assassinate Patrice Lumumba? All right. These are the questions we have to ask. All right. Because the same CIA dirty tricks, and I'm not calling matter of fact, you could look it up. You could just go to a search engine and put in CIA's dirty tricks. I believe there was a manual, there was a book out, there was information put out by whistleblowers and other people of the CIA's dirty tricks. Smarty Jones says the USA probably sent American jazz stars over to use as the front for the evil empire to move into the Congo and on the African continent. They were used to make the U.S. look like everything was all good, I guess Smarty Jones is trying to say. Betty Jenkins said it's always been about the control of natural resources. Natural resources that if you look into it deep enough, even in order to make, I don't know, a nuclear bomb, you need certain raw materials. And those raw materials are in abundance on the African continent. And those natural resources have to be controlled. And if people like Patrice Lumumba and the Congolese people, African people, if it's in their land, then the United States government will stop at nothing to get to those raw materials. Ask the people right now in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria. Ask the people right now in Chad, in Togo. All right? Matter of fact, ask the people in Namibia right now. Hold on. So Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. I'm not going to give you the gory details on what they did to Patrice Lumumba. Chopping his body up, putting his body in acid. Yeah. To get to the raw materials that were sitting under the Congolese feet in their land in Africa.
He used those words.
Yes.
But who ordered him?
He said President Eisenhower.
In the UN, when Khrushchev took off his shoe and was beating that shoe, and the interpreter said, "How dare you!" Talking about America.
Now, these are jazz artists over in the Congo, in Africa, on the news, taking a political stance. All right, Nina Simone. What was Nina Simone's quote about being an artist and being a revolutionary? Hold on. Nina Simone. Nina Simone is famously quoted as saying, an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. Nina Simone said what? As an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the time. While she may not have used this specific phrase, I'm an artist and a revolutionary in a single quote, she certainly embodied the spirit of both an artist and a revolutionary. If one is the same, all right, then Nina Simone was using her revolutionary mindset and spirit and putting it in her songs. This is why Nina Simone did the song Mississippi Goddamn. Nina Simone's quote on the artist, duty continues. I think that it is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and situations in which I find myself. That, to me, is my duty. She believed that artists have a responsibility to engage in and with, and with individuals and situations in the world around them, reflecting its issues and conditions. Nina Simone was vocal to advocate for civil rights and social justice, and her music often served as a powerful tool for protest, but she often spoke outside of the context of her music. When asked in interviews, her song Mississippi Goddamn is a powerful example of her use of music as a political weapon, written in response to a racial justice situation in the South. Her life and work as both an artist and a revolutionary figure. This is the life of Miss Nina Simone, a revolutionary and an artist who said, and she is clear, an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the time.
I love you, but it was the interpreter who hated America. You understand what I mean?
The ditty of rhythm.
Rhythm is my business.
Dizzy Gillespie said rhythm is his business. That's a beautiful thing, to be the very embodiment of rhythm and making it your business. But as Nina Simone said, we have duty as an artist to reflect what's going on in the time. Jimi Hendrix didn't necessarily speak. He reflected the time in his song called Machine Gun. Go check it out. Machine Gun by Jimi Hendrix and the Band of Gypsies.
Конец ходила колониальному рабству, долой его и похоронить его чем глубже, тем лучше.
Soundtrack to the coup d'etat. All right, soundtrack to a coup d'etat. All right. I left the phone lines open. I'm not going to be on here long. I've decided that I'm only going to do shorter shows to get right to the point. Because sometimes I find myself lingering on here, waiting for people to kind of do their thing. And I know it's the middle of the day. A lot of people are not home. But when you do get home and you see this, you'll be able to go back over this information, piece it apart for yourself. Look at the works and read some of the works and listen to some of the interviews of some of those artists that was part of the film soundtrack to a coup d'etat. Especially Nina Simone. All right. Go over the real reasons why they were allowing Black artists to even come on the African continent. We couldn't go on the African continent to help African leaders help develop Africa, but we can go over there for the State Department, for whatever reason. The State Department wanted Black artists from America over there. But nonetheless, these artists were there. This film was shot. This film was made. Now, they used a very not so common kind of way they approached this film. shot using footage from during that particular time, I believe in the 60s, and interweaving it with performances, interviews, raw footage, and weaving it together. Normally, documentaries will turn people off. If you're talking about, oh man, I made a documentary film that's 2.5 hours long, people are not, I'm not sitting through that. This is one of them films that you can actually sit through. And I think mainly because the jazz music carries the spirit and the tone of the film. All right. I've had the pleasure of seeing the film. Then I woke up. Well, last night I went over it and then woke up this morning with it fresh on my mind to look at some of the other pieces that I might have missed when you're talking about the soundtrack of a coup d'etat. Hold on. Let me go back just a little. And then I am going to go, hold on. I'm going to play it from that point because I think I had it queued up. I think I tried to queue it up last night so you can at least get that piece. Hold on. Let me see exactly which one it is. Hold on. Give me a number. I can't get a number. All right, hold on. I got several ones up, but I want to find that particular number for that one because that one's important. Is it this one? Yep, it's that one. All right. All right, here we go, fam. I'm going to take it from here. All right. And let's see.
Baudouin of Belgium finds an ally in the Eisenhower administration, which fears losing access to one of the world's biggest known reserves of uranium, a metal vital for the creation of atomic bombs. Congo Leopoldville takes center stage to both the Cold War and the scheme for control of the UN. The U.S. State Department swings into action. Jazz ambassador Louis Armstrong is dispatched to win the hearts and minds of Africa. Unwittingly, Armstrong becomes a smokescreen to divert attention from Africa's first post-colonial coup, leading to the assassination of Congo's first democratically elected leader.
Now, just in that small little soundbite right there, unbeknownst to these jazz artists, they were being used to win over the hearts and the minds of the African people. At the same time, all right, the State Department was planning a coup and is planning the assassination of the democratically elected president of the Congo, Patrice Lumumba. They said they needed that raw material that's sitting under the feet of the Congolese people to make atomic bombs. Now we know the why.
Malcolm X stands up in open support of Lumumba and his efforts to create a United States of Africa while also reframing the freedom struggle of African Americans as one not for civil rights but for human rights, aiming to bring his case before the UN. As black jazz ambassadors are performing unaware amidst covert CIA operatives, the likes of Armstrong, Nina Simone, Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, and Melba Liston face a painful dilemma: how to represent a country where segregation is still the law of the land. Jazz and decolonization are entwined in this forgotten episode of the Cold War, where the greatest musicians stepped onto the political stage, and downtrodden politicians lent their voices as inadvertent lead singers. This story of the undermining of African self-determination is told from the perspective of Central African Republic women's rights activist and politician André Blouin, Irish diplomat and enfant terrible Connor Cruz O'Brien, Belgian Congolese writer and Coley Jean Beaufain, and Nikita Khrushchev himself. Louis Armstrong, jazz musician. Dizzy Gillespie, jazz musician. Abbey Lincoln, jazz musician. Max Roach, jazz musician. Nina Simone, jazz musician. Miriam Makeba, jazz musician. John Coltrane, jazz musician.
They're going over all of the jazz musicians. Unbeknownst to them, they weren't aware that the State Department had a hidden agenda. Roughly, this is what the soundtrack to the coup d'etat is about. A 2.5 hour documentary film put out last year. All right. And it's very important that we notice. All right. Who was the woman interviewing or talking about Michael? I think it was Michael Jordan. And made the comment, basically just shut up and dribble. Or LeBron James told LeBron James to just shut up and dribble. No, we're not going to just play our instruments and be quiet. That's just not on the agenda. No, we have a duty to our people. Nina Simone is famously quoted as saying, and I'm going to say it again, an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. While she may not have used this particular term in reference to I'm an artist and a revolutionary as a single quote, but she said, just as a painter, a sculptor, poet, musician, whomever, speak to what's going on concerning your people in the time that we're living in. Or else you shirk your duty and your responsibility, and you're going to be held accountable for that. Or you could just go buck dancing, shuffle your feet, and be a good Negro on somebody's stage. They'll pay you. They'll pay you to do all of that. Thank you very much, Papa. The documentary needs to be shown in colleges and in high schools. Really, high schools, right when you get in high school, because it needs to be taught in these classes, simply because these artists today have no idea of what it is to take on a duty and responsibility of carrying the art form forward. Who is going to carry the art form forward if it's not going to be those brave individuals to carry the art form forward? All right. Jason Wakeman, thank you very much. Really appreciate you. All right. The Soviets were trying to do throughout the African continent. They helped Cuba. What they helped Cuba do? The United States knew the risk of the potential global solidarity against imperialism, and they were propagandized. Exactly. Sylvia Standback says missionaries were also a CIA tool. Thank you very much. Giving them the Bible and taking their land in exchange. All right. Someone said Charlie Parker was over there. Also, that's not the only place that black musicians from America, especially jazz artists, that's not the only place that they went in Africa. They wanted to destabilize the government in the Congo, and this is what they did. And this is what the film speaks to. All right. In the meantime, between time, family, hold on. If you would like to support independent media, you could do that by hitting my Cash App. That's $ Professor Griff. $1, a dime, food stamp, whatever you want to send is welcome. All right. Okay. So as we we'll put the invite back in the chat. Let me go back to the chat and put the invite. And while we're waiting on that, let's do this here. Hold on. Soundtrack to a coup d'etat. Hold on, with hosts. All right. All right. So while we are pulling up some information, all right, please explain what happens on the African continent. Documentaries need to be shown. Ah,
Yeah.
So we're actually showing our face today. We actually showing up in person, my brother. What's
What's
going on?
happening? Oh, not
How,
much. What's going on?
how you feel? It's my first time even seeing your face. You was just a name and a in my phone on my. So what's going on with you?
Oh, not much. And I send you a bunch of stuff, books and stuff in the email too.
Yeah, I know you are a deep researcher that I respect immensely. You may not
Yeah,
know that, but I do.
I appreciate it. It's appreciated.
Give thanks.
Every time we can get a little bit of gratitude is very appreciative because I get people that tell me they use materials, write books and all that stuff. I said that's fine. I don't need no praise for it, but that's what I just like to do. I just like to share the information when I find it, and it's not mine. Everybody's been doing this stuff. It's the Akashic record. Information is supposed to be free.
Right.
But the movie, man,
they make us pay for it in college to the tune of $50,000 a year.
Yeah, so, check it out. But the movie, it reminds me of like Eyes on the Prize times 10 almost. Times 10 because especially when they enter the part where they had the mercenaries that the American government hired and the UK government, the Australians sent to just mow our people down.
Right.
Just using them as target practice, man. That was it's a hard film, but hard is necessary sometimes. To get you to wake up, because these people ain't playing with us, and we want to play too much. You got to wake up.
Right. Yeah, and it's a real dynamic when you go into the film and you start piecing it apart and you start looking at some of the language that they use in reference to our people today. And then you could look at then they're doing the same thing today. And I keep trying to explain this to people, but people don't seem to get it, good bro. They just don't.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. They just want to stay asleep.
They love for you to play your horn. Play your horn. Be the best at it. We'll give you some chump change, give you some nickels, some coins, but we're going to use you to get the billions and trillions of dollars worth of natural resources that's in Africa. And then they lie to you about Africa.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I just don't know what to say, man. I don't, like I said, it's like I was reading this other quote in one of the George Jackson books, where it talked about the pygmy was telling the guy that the pygmies had found out that, hey, they didn't have to chase advancements in technology because it brought them nothing but misery. So they chose to live the sedentary lives. And that's why like I said, if you ever watch people need to watch that documentary by John Calhoun called Ragtopia. It talks about colony collapse. People live in large cities and they wonder why they just start dying off. It's a natural process. We're not meant to live in large cities. We're meant to live in small, like when the Europeans when they was going out and exploring, they found small groups of people. people learn that, hey, we do better in small groups because you don't have all the vices and the degeneracy that pops up when you in large groups. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
we have to realize that. But anyways, the pygmy was saying that, hey, we stopped chasing all these things that we thought was going to bring us happiness, this material wealth and material culture, and we decided that we just leave it. And we wonder why all these great ancient monuments that they find in perfect condition were just left. You know, they just left this stuff because they know it brought them nothing but heartache. I gotta constantly abuse you to get what I want. That's not fulfilling to a person.
Right, exactly.
And that shows you how low of a person, because you know, in the African sense, you're not even a person if you don't even know how to treat anybody else. You're an animal. You're less than a person, you know? And these people are animalistic, point blank, period. You know, and we have to realize this, but we think white water tastes better.
Yeah, or their ice is colder.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so you do some deep research, and sometimes I scratch my head when I see some of your stuff. I'm like, where is this brother getting all this information? I said he's tapping into the Akashic records and he's pulling it down. You must got a 2-lane highway up and you bring it back down.
Oh, yeah, man. I tell you, it's amazing because my mind never thought about like this before. I tell people, you know, and oh man, I loved yesterday's show when you do the etymology, man. Our people really need to no, etymology is the key.
Yeah.
Like if we look at the word thief, if you spell it the other way, you get faith. So you stealing from me if I believe what you telling me.
Right.
And then you look at believe you take the V and the E off of believe and you get the word belly, which means lie. So just because I add 2 letters, you tell me that word mean I should trust you? No, I shouldn't trust you, because 9 times out of 10, if you tell me to believe me, you are lying to me. It's not because you prove to me what you're saying. You didn't give me any proof. You didn't verify to me what was happening. So I gotta have faith. Oh, there you go again. Now you stealing from me to trust you.
Right. But you know how many people curse me under their breath, man? You know how many people just because I stand up, I keep it 10 toes down and I keep it real with people. You understand what I'm saying? I get cursed and hated for no reason, bro. Maybe because the raspiness in my voice or something. I don't know.
No, people like being lied to, man. That's what I've come to. They want to be lied to. They don't want to take the ownership for themselves.
Right.
You have to take the complete ownership for yourself. It's like my nephew. I was talking with him. I thought he was becoming enlightened, but he went right back to sleep again. He's going to engage me for information, and I'm giving him it. Then he's going to draw back after I give it to him. Oh, that's too much. I can't handle it. Yeah, that's wrecking my paradigm. You have to stand up, okay? Like you say, 10 toes down and in the face, even if it hurts, because that's when you get the truth, is when it hurts. And don't be tied to one thing. It's like a thing came to me. And because like you just said, I be getting downloads from the Akashic records for real.
Right.
But a saying came to me, and I try to tell it to everybody. Just because I don't believe it doesn't mean it's not true.
Right. Okay.
So that means I need to do the due diligence and learn more to figure it out.
Exactly. Right. Right. But I was on the program with Brother Rich the other night, and it was just, and like this guy Papa Robbie said, it's too much anti-Caribbean, anti-African, just black from other places here in America. And it's like, wow, I love. Listen, I got relatives in those places, blood.
Right.
So I love my people, whether they related to me or not. My Caribbean brothers, my African brothers, my brothers from Brazil and other places. Yeah, I'm connected with them.
Right.
Yeah. But this anti kind of black thing is, I think that's something put among us by them other people.
It is. That's the frequency. Okay.
Right.
Like Baba Neely Fuller said, it's a worldwide system of white supremacy. I don't even call it supremacy anymore. I just point blank call it terrorism, because that's what it is. So I replace supremacy with terrorism, because that's what you did. Everywhere you go, you cause terror and confusion. So
Right.
that's your motive operandi. That's what you've always done. That's what you're going to continue to do, and it's not going to change.
Right.
And as I was saying previously about the ancient time, if people were here 300,000 years or longer, depending on which information you look at, but still, about every 10,000 years, everything starts over again. So why didn't these people leave a record for us to follow? Because we keep screwing up. We keep doing the same thing over and over again and destroying everything, and everything got to start all over again.
Right.
So we don't learn.
Yeah. But I think some of us will get it in time. Everything's going to happen in its own time. I wish we would just hurry up.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But it's hurtful and heartbreaking, but this is what we got to deal with. So
right,
we got to be here.
Right. And even myself having to reset, man. Spending a lot of time researching and studying what these talking heads are talking about on these news channels. Sometimes we get caught up. You understand what I'm saying? And we end up having shows like this about them. I'm like, no, let me refocus. Let me hit the reset button. You understand what I'm saying? And start speaking to our people. In a way, that's respectful. And then in another way that's advancing us, who we are as a people. It was heartbreaking, like you said, reading some of the comments the other night as I was on the show. I'm reading the comments. I'm like, wow, we hate black people that much from Africa and the Caribbean islands. And I'm like, wow. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sad frequency, man. I tell you. They've done a job on us, man. They really done a job on us to get us to hate ourselves. The psychology of self-hate, Amos Wilson. Yeah. I like some of the work that Philippe Matthews has done. Yeah. Where he talks about first frequency, second frequency, third frequency, and fourth frequency. Fourth frequency people are our people who are ignorant and don't know that they're ignorant and are self-destructive. Third frequency people are I can't really remember them, but the first frequency people is us. Second frequency people is the I call them waste people now, because we have to realize they weren't always called white people. They were called waste people first.
Wow.
Waste people preceded white people. Waste people came in the 1500s. They was calling them waste people. So that was that excremental term. And like I said, this stuff is all just fascinating when you really dive into it. Even I think if you took a look at some of the stuff that I sent you about how the money is considered excrement. So they have the whole system is like the brother who wrote the book, The Delectable Negro.
Right.
The whole system is based upon homoeroticism. Period. This whole structure that they set up is based on homoeroticism.
Right.
From the economics to everything.
Yeah.
And it just blows your mind when you find out about this stuff, you know?
Right. This says the term waste people historically refers to a social class of poor, often landless white individuals in colonial America and beyond, who were viewed as unproductive and undesirable by the ruling class. This term,
right,
along with others like white trash, reflects a long-standing societal attitude towards poverty and the class distinctions in the United States. The waste people. Wow. I never knew that. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's deep, man. It's deep. Wow. And also that's why they feel that when people, because when they was finding all the people, when they were doing the exploring and they were finding all the people in different areas, they figured that, okay, you got all this land and you're not using it because you're not actually building farms and actually cultivating the land. That's why they feel that they just could take it from you, because you're not using it for a benefit.
Yeah, when I was studying the 1619 project, just basically some of the stuff that was in there was just mind-numbing. When they said they came, and it was basically like when they came here, there was no people here.
Right.
So it's like, wow, that's what you're teaching in the elementary schools and in the high schools and grade schools, that there was no one here. Yeah, wow, it's mind-numbing, man.
Yeah, so it's not only the miseducation of the Negro, they miseducated.
Right.
Yeah. And it's on purpose. All this is on purpose. You have to, unfortunately, the churches don't do what they used to do when they originally started up, which was teaching our people schools and trades and doing these things. But that's a whole nother can of worms. I don't think we need to get into, but
well, I'm gonna answer this one person's question and then we're gonna get off here. It says, but look what they did with what they turned around, and now we're inferior and they are the superior. They are superior. Let's copy the blueprint and stand up. Absolutely not. We cannot have the blueprint of evil. We can't copy their blueprint and treat people the way they treat people. We cannot do that. That's not who we are as a people, Auntie, Kenny's, whoever you are. No, we cannot do that. We're not going to copy this blueprint of evil and be very destructive and have multi-billion-dollar industries that put together bombs and ammunition and guns and all this other kind of stuff and technologies just to murder unalive people. No.
Right.
We can't do that. We cannot. No.
And as they always do, they're going to change the rules to make themselves, because you can't beat them at their own game. That's their game. You got to come up with a whole new game. You can't beat their game.
Someone's asking, do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I don't have a YouTube channel.
Yo, what I'll do is I'll make it. This is the first time him hearing this, but I'll make it my business to have him on when he wants to come on. Weekly, monthly. He has an open door. Me and him have dialogue. We've talked on the phone. He checked me a couple of times. I got you, bro. he sends me some information, but I got respect for him because he's a real man and a real dude. I've asked people, that's in my circles, talk to me. Don't be afraid. Stand on your square and talk to me.
Right.
I'll gain a deeper level of respect for you if you're honest, transparent. You know what you talk about, and you talk to me.
Right. Yeah, I do.
That's why when I seen his name and his face come, I click on, give him his praise. You understand what I'm saying? Because I got a level of respect. We got off the phone. We may not agree with what we were talking about a couple of times, but hey, I still got love, honor, and respect for the brother. He is.
Yeah. It was a deep conversation, and we like I said, we are of a maturity to be able to express ourselves without being too emotional.
Exactly.
Now, I do have a YouTube channel. It is Doravel, whatever it is. I only did like 3 videos, and it was dealing with the book, How Racism Has Changed the Neuroplasticity of the Human Brain. That's by Joseph Gibson. I suggest everybody that's listening to this broadcast right now, please get that book, How Racism Has Changed the Neuroplasticity of the Human Brain by Joseph H. Gibson. Excellent book. See, that's why it tells you how people brains operate. See, a lot of the times we behave in a way that we don't even know that it is actually because of your brain.
Right.
Your brain operates on trying to keep you alive. That's the brain's highest function, is to keep you alive. So whether you gotta do maladaptive behaviors or not, it's trying to keep you alive.
Right.
Period. And you may not know why you did it. That's the reason why you did it, because it's going to be the stress, anxiety, and trauma. Those are the things that motivate people to try to alleviate. So that's why they do a maladaptive behavior, because they want that trauma and pain to stop. So yeah, people do become homosexual, do all kind of other things. It's because they are traumatized from the system.
Right.
The trauma of this system does so much to us, and we don't realize it. But that book, that brother goes through some very well documented studies, very heavily documented. It's an excellent book, excellent. And then hopefully,
I'm gonna find it today.
yeah, hopefully, when you read it, it will help you identify your behavior. So therefore, you don't. Not to say that everything you read and everything we do is not the saying that we're always going to do what's right. But as long as if you can figure out, okay, that's a trigger and I can eliminate that, that will help hopefully stop negative things from happening. Because that's what we want to try to eliminate, as much negativity as we can, as much maladaptive behavior as we can.
Right.
It's very important.
Very, very important. I really appreciate you coming on, man. You open the door is open to you anytime, good bro. You can come on at any time. All right.
Okay, appreciate it, Griff.
All right,
thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Mr. Dorvell. All right, good bro.
All right, take care.
Take care. All right. All right, that was Mr. Dorvell. Me and that brother's been in touch with one another for a long time. Very well spoken, very studied individual. And he has a way of presenting it, and it's very refined. That refinement is something that Professor Griff needs to get a hold of. That refinement. It's a beautiful thing. Deep researcher, and I do believe he has a direct connection to the Akashic Records, because that brother be sending some information. I got to scratch my head, like even today with the waste people thing and some other stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah. The more we know, the more we think we know, the more we know that we don't know, fam. All right. This has been Professor Griff on the Masses, Black Power Media Reloaded. Shout out to Kalanji. Shout out to everyone, all of the researchers out there. All of the ones have kind of taken the duty and responsibility of passing on information to our people, to uplift our people, to move this thing forward. This has been a soundtrack to the coup d'etat. Please check out the film, and please check out all the information that Dorvell gave you. All right, and I will see y'all on the next one. This Professor Griff. Revolution is not an event, it's a process. Peace, fam. Peace.